What's up, everyone? Good morning. Welcome back to the program. Let's get into my best bets for this Sunday slate as we look into the Week 11 games within the NFL ranks. We have a ton of action, ton of rivalry games too as well, so it's going to add to another level of intrigue. But more so, I'm going to be attacking this weekend in the prop markets, okay? There's going to be 4 bets that I do like, a couple in the same game, and then I am going to go a little square with a teaser that I do think that is one of the best bets that we could make for this weekend. So we'll see what happens. Let's get down into it. For those of you that are new to the channel, awesome. Let's do it. Make sure you guys all subscribe down below. Also, there will be my Twitter handle. X is in the bottom left. Make sure you join there. And give us a follow on Discord. It's totally free. It's just a great platform for everyone to kind of commingle and just kind of share bets from time to time. So let's get into that first game, and we do use Outlier to do so. All right, this is my favorite betting platform that I do use, and we're going to look into the rivalry game there at Soldier Field between the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears. Now, when we come into this game, it's kind of interesting because Jordan Love is going to have to face Caleb Williams, albeit for quite a little bit longer than you might have thought before this NFL draft took place. I think this is something where we do get the potential, both of these young quarterbacks, seeing this rivalry develop. I'm not a big Caleb Williams fan, never have been, never will be. Back from his days at USC, leaving Oklahoma, that's just not my style of football player, okay? But anyways, we get into the game, and you look into Green Bay here, laying 5.5 on the road. It's a big number, okay? It's a big number to drop on the road, and you add in the rivalry element to it. Chicago plus 5.5. I know people on both sides of this game. For me, guys, it's going to be Green Bay or nothing. I almost added them into this teaser that I'm putting together for you guys here a little bit later as we get into it. The public betting, though, if we look into it, okay, you're going to see an overwhelmingly amount of support, kind of more so towards the under, okay? So with all games played at Soldier Field, even at Lambeau for that regard, but more likely this is an element that you have to take in consideration with Soldier Field games. Look at the wind, okay? If it comes off the lake, comes sideways, boom. All right, I'm not a big fan of betting for, for the wind direction and intensity, unless it's going sideways. So directional wind does matter, okay? If you are coming left and right, that matters for field goals. Front to back win, end zone win doesn't really bother me. It actually kind of balances itself out because it will add to field goals legs. All right, but for this game, this is where I'm Green Bay or nothing. I'm just thinking this is too big of a number there on the road. In the prop market, I would lend towards Jaden Reed. Also, if we do get kind of a nice little crisp football day here, the pads, the pads are crashing. I think this is where we do run the football effectively. I think Josh Jacobs is going to have another good day for the Packers. One of my favorite running backs in the NFL, and I think this is something where the Bears are overmatched, okay? And when it comes down to it, I'm talking about the defensive numbers on the back end. I just don't like their secondary. I think that Jordan Love is going to be able to stretch the field. Give Matt LaFleur, enough time leading up to playoffs, and I think that the Packers develop this offense. You got to remember, there's been 2-3 weeks where they've been kind of off kilter within Love being inactive, and I think in this game he might get right. He is my fantasy quarterback, full disclosure, not by choice, but by value, okay? So that's kind of where we get into it. I think that we do see a big game out of these guys. Also, another element to this game, which I don't think we're going to be getting into this one, but I am taking a lot of field goal kickers today, okay? So we'll get into that. But for me, it's a lean towards the Packers. I'm staying away from the total, albeit the handle is more so indicating the under. And I do like Josh Jacobs having a good day on the ground. And if I had to attack the wide receiver market, I think Jalen Reed is the one that I would go after as well. All right, so enough about the NFC North. Let's kind of stick up there partially. We'll talk about the Vikings and the Titans. This is a tricky one, okay? It's a tricky one because if we look into the Vikings, everybody was ready to give Sam Darnold the MVP, the Heisman Trophy, give him an Oscar, an Emmy. He was really anointed the Prince of the NFL, comeback player of the year here, and with Kevin O'Connell and this Minnesota Vikings club. They had a little snag with Aaron Jones getting hurt. 6-3 against the number, 7-2 overall, straight up. But we look at the Titans here. Eventually, they're going to start throwing in that white towel, okay? Seemingly, Will Levis is not the guy. I think we all know that. And we look into this Titans club. They have not covered a game in their last 5 games against a number, but not so fast. This is a -6, okay? We're seeing a -6. You can actually even get a little bit more so of that movement towards that 5.5. I think we are going to get 5.5s in the market. Minnesota against Jacksonville, 12-7. Okay, so this could be a game played close to the vest with a low total set at 39.5. There's a little bit more of this than meets the eye, in my opinion. So I'm sticking away from this one. That's just kind of how I feel. I think that we do get the potential for a little kind of, I don't want to say look-ahead game. I'm not quite frankly sure. I always try to look who's playing who in Week 12, but I'm not going to show you guys this. But I do think this is where we get Sam Darnold. You got to look into the potential where he has thrown a lot of interceptions. He's going back to his old ways, conjuring up those old spirits, right? Where, we're talking about Sam Darnold getting a deal up in Minnesota. I mean, what kind of world are we living in? This is not the answer. And that connection with Justin Jefferson is always present, okay? But I do think that Tennessee, I don't know how long they can hold on to the football, but I do think that they try to take the game plan out of Will Levis's hands. The only way that I see this not being a Minnesota cover is if it gets out of control early. Tennessee gets a huge lead. The Minnesota Vikings get a huge lead, and then Tennessee has to play catch-up, which they're not going to do well going against anybody in the NFL playing catch-up, okay? So shades toward the under, 39.5. You could take a juiced-up 40, and I would also lean with the Vikings in this game where I expect the Titans to kind of be playing very conservative. Let's just say that. Okay, so I would love to bang the Minnesota prop market here. I always like taking Jefferson Jones, even what we're seeing here right now with TJ Hawkinson back into the fold. We look at there's certain teams that I target for the same game parlay market when I look at props, when I try to put together a home run lottery ticket. Minnesota Vikings are one of those teams, but just not today. I don't trust it in Tennessee. We saw what happened when Tennessee played Detroit, and you did get that kind of, carnival act where you got a lot of prop conversions. But for me, guys, this is a stay away game. I just don't like it. It's something where you look at kind of where you see this weird kind of defensive matchup for both teams, okay? It's just kind of, I don't know. It's just kind of Tennessee's a sneaky team. This is a weird, fishy number. I'm staying away from it. Lean towards the under if you can find it at 40. That would be my best bet. I think we get more of a defensive game, and Minnesota doesn't really come out like the team that on paper they should. Okay, so that's kind of where I'm at. That is my handicap for this game. Next, Colts and the Jets. The Jets have had one of the worst rushing defenses in recent weeks, which is crazy because of that vaulted roster. And what has happened with the changing of the guard at the top. Just how they did getting rid of that coaching situation. That never really was a fan of that. But from a scheme standpoint, as a defensive coordinator, he wasn't that bad. But for some reason, did not translate in the field. He got shown the door, and kind of abruptly. I don't know if you heard that story, but they ushered him out with security. I mean, that's just not the way to do your head coach. Okay. But that's kind of where I lend towards this game. I think that we get the potential, and this is going to be one of my best bets. So thank you all for rocking with me here. But this is where we are going to get into the prop market here. This is where I like the Jonathan Taylor game script, okay? I think that with Anthony Richardson back into the fold, it's the same thing with Will Levis. They're not going to try to let him lose the game. I think they're going to really run the football, and they're going to run it with volume. So I like Jonathan Taylor here. I do want to touch back on that last game real quickly between Minnesota and Tennessee because I will have a best bet, okay? I'm going to be taking Nick Folk, all right? A low total, a lot of field goals. Nick Folk, we're going to be taking over 1.5 made field goals. It's at minus 145. That is one of my best bets in the prop market. Like I said, we're going to be attacking field goals. So give me Nick Folk over 1.5 made field goals in that game, okay? But back into the Colts and the Jets. This is where I look into this. You can look at the betting splits. The under, another under we're looking at. So a lot of the handles are going to be on the unders. We're going to talk about that a little later with some of these primetime matchups. But for this game between the Colts and the Jets, it's Jonathan Taylor for me. I'll pull up some of the numbers here for you guys. And this is his rush attempts, over 18.5. Okay, it's a plus matchup, in my opinion. If we look at kind of the rankings here, and I'll find this, the rushing attempts against, okay, the Jets are 29th in the NFL here via stats per outlier. If you don't use outlier, make sure you guys all check it out. Just sign up for the 7-day free trial. You really should be using it every single day. It makes you lets you make the best bet possible and saves you a ton of time and money. So check out that subscription to Outlier. You do get a 7-day free trial using my link down below. Okay, rushing attempts against the Jets are 29th in the NFL in 31 in rush attempts per game. So I'm taking Jonathan Taylor over 18.5. I think there's a mindset where, hey, what if Tennessee does have the lead? They look to just establish time of possession, hold on to the football, and buckle up for their third for a win. Where, quite frankly, I just don't see it. But it could happen, and they could go on the road and look to just hold on to the football. I think that 18.5 is a very good number of value, so let's take that over with Jonathan Taylor. The best number available that I've found, okay, is minus 110. That's pretty much at all books, respectively, okay? Next game we're going to look into is going to be the likes of the Los Angeles Rams and the New England Patriots. Now, this is an interesting matchup, okay? I think Drake May is coming back into this game, and we look at kind of what New England's done. Drake May is showing signs of being the future quarterback for quite some time here, okay? But the Rams, 4-5 on the season. I do like Matthew Stafford to throw an interception. That is one of my prop bets that I'm making. He's done that pretty much quite a bit, okay? And I just want to really point out the New England Patriots defense kind of turning some heads, okay? Kind of turning some heads. I think this is another low-scoring game. Some of my notes and numbers that I drew up, I do like the Rams in the spot, minus 4.5. You can find a juiced up minus 4, but I don't like to make a habit of betting the New England Patriots, so I'm staying away from this one, but I am going to take Matthew Stafford to have an interception. That is one of my best bets that I will have in the market, okay? That will be kind of where I'm at on the Patriots and Rams. Obviously, the Kyron Williams touchdown market, that's going to be a fan favorite. The Rams are healthy with Puka and Cooper Kupp back into the fold. So that's kind of where we're at in that matchup, okay? And another one that I did forget, I keep screwed up these kickers. Apologies to you guys. I'm kind of in a hurry running through this entire board for this 1 and 4 o'clock slate. But I do like the Brandon McManus prop market as well for the Green Bay Packers. I think that's where we're going to be taking him over his 1.5 field goals as well. Minus 115 at Caesars is the best number. So another field goal over 1.5 that I am going to be taking, okay? Next game, Browns and Saints. Now, this is an interesting game because this is one of the most popular bets of the weekend, okay? The Browns opened up this matchup as underdogs, and now the Browns are road favorites, okay? So this is kind of where I look for the Browns. A similar storyline to the last two games we talked about, really establishing the run, not letting their quarterback make mistakes, just like Jameis, Anthony Richardson, as well as Will Levis. I think that's all the same storyline. I see a lot of rushing attempts for Chubb. The Browns had a bye week last week, so now they're going to be rested, healthy, ready to roll against a Saints team that is really reeling, okay? They've dropped 4 of their last 5 against the spread, and now as we look into this, the betting splits here, and overwhelmingly 62% of the handle is on the Browns, and that's always a scary, scary sight to see. Another thing where we look into the over, that's where we're seeing the majority of the handle versus the bets. But it's kind of that storyline where you do see that number cross to 0. You're getting the worst of it. The Browns as plus 1.5 underdogs on the road. A little better story than the Browns minus 1.5, okay? It's going to be a very popular teaser legs for those that could bet it early, taking the Browns up to plus 7.5. But this is kind of where we look into it as being a Chubb game, okay? I think Chubb gets in the end zone. I think Chubb gets a lot of carries. I think he goes over 15.5. Could be his coming out party, and I do really favor the Nick Chubb over 60.5 rushing yards at minus 113. That will be one of my best bets of the day. Don't chase this number because I do think it's going to climb, but that's where I'm at. Kamara, as always, I think he'll be able to do well. The Browns' defense on the road is not as effective as it is at home, so give me the Nick Chubb rushing yards prop in a small lean towards the Browns, but I don't like them minus 1.5. I like them when they were underdogs plus 1.5 on the other side of that 0, okay? And this is a game that's interesting, the next one we're going to talk about. The Jags and Lions, okay? We've seen this before, okay? The Lions come in as the biggest favorite on the board this week, minus 13.5. For me, guys, It's one you look at the Lions. Are they the best team in the NFL? Okay, that's the question you got to ask yourself. Me personally, it's the Lions and the Chiefs, and then you probably would have the Ravens up there third, in my personal opinion. Also the Bills, and quite frankly, you got to talk about the Steelers, but in the 49ers. So those are probably my top 5 teams going right now. The Steelers are probably that one that you're going to really raise your eyebrows to, but hey, it's something where you got to really just kind of tip your cap at this point in the season. But in this game, I do think that there's some value on the Jaguars plus the points. It's a lot of points for the NFL. It's a letdown spot for the Lions. They've had some tough battles, and this is something where I do think that we may get a kind of a weird game here as the Lions come home for this spot. We haven't really seen any movement. This is one where if you did bet this game before the season start, you are seeing a lot of closing line value if you were able to get the Lions -4. Now they're -13.5. This is very interesting. If we look at kind of Jacksonville and what they've been able to do, I do think this is something where this game with the points is very much the side that I would be on. I don't love this game. I'm probably staying away from it. And it's something where Detroit, they have covered 4 out of their last 5. A little bit of a slip up last week as they had to come back against Houston. They have the momentum. I just, staying in that AFC South, I think there's something to be said that this is just way too many points. The Lions, as they were 12.5-point favorites against the Tennessee Titans, they covered the big number, so I do see a world where they do cover 2-touchdown spread. But for me, guys, this is a stay-away game. Small lean towards the Jags, plus 14 if you want to buy up and get the juice here with that number, okay? And that will be kind of how I approach that game. Okay, obviously, we can look into the David Montgomery touchdown market. I think he finds the end zone as well. Okay. Next game is the AFC North game that everybody's going to be keyed in on. 1 o'clock kickoff with the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, the winner of this game does become they do become the front runner of the AFC North, which, quite frankly, right now the Pittsburgh Steelers do have that crown, which is where we find Mike Tomlin, a 3-point home underdog. Mike Tomlin as a dog is always a best bet. Mike Tomlin at home as a dog, not so much, but it's still something where we have to consider it. For me, guys, I am going to be taking the Baltimore Ravens -3. I think that's the right side. I just don't want to get down with the Steelers +3. I know that's where the value's at, but for me, it's something where you just got to trust the numbers, trust John Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson to take care of business. This is a business trip for them. They're familiar with it. Both teams have a lot of familiarity. I do think we're going to get a very physical game. Whoever these two teams play next week, I probably would go the other way because both of these teams are going to be absolutely battle-tested. My best bet in this game, though, is taking the under 48.5. I think we get one of those classic AFC North games. However, we have seen a lot of points in those games in recent times, but I think that we do get a very slow-down game by Pittsburgh. And it's something where we look into this. I'd be very hard-pressed if this game got into the 50s, so I see some value taking the under 48.5. Another bet that I do like is we do get Keaton Mitchell back off of injury. We all know what he's able to do. If you guys want to dive into the prop market, Keaton Mitchell over the 11.5 rushing and receiving yards. That's one of my favorite bets of the day as well that I will have in the prop market. So Keaton Mitchell over 11.5 rushing and receiving for Keaton Mitchell. That is one of my favorite plays of the day as well. And one thing I do want to talk about is Derrick Henry going against this Pittsburgh defense. I do think they're just going to pound the ball. So I think this is a game where you're going to feature Henry a lot. You're going to really try to control the line of scrimmage. It's going to be who can win in the trenches up front on offense gets the upper hand, in my opinion, and I think that Baltimore has a little bit of an edge. I think that also we look at their defense. It's vulnerable, but it's enough where I think they can strap it up for one day against a divisional foe, and I think we're going to get the very much defensive-minded game in this contest. So give me the under 48.5 and the Keaton Mitchell over 11.5 rushing and receiving yards as one of my favorite plays of the day. Okay. Next game we're going to look into is the Raiders and the Dolphins. Okay. So in this spot, the Raiders are getting 7.5. going on the road, playing in Miami. This is a classic traditional game that we have seen in historic times, but not so much now as the Raiders look at 2-7, Dolphins 3-6. Tua is back, and when Tua is back, Chain does well. I'm staying away from the running back battery of the Dolphins in this game due to the fact that when you talk about the Dolphins and what they did on a short week last week against the Rams. They ran out like 4 running backs, okay? And so that took a lot of the workload away from a Chain, so he's going to be healthy, rested. Mostert did not record a carry in that game last week, so got stung by that. That was the only prop I missed in that Thursday night matchup. So for me, guys, or Sunday night matchup, I'm sorry. I think it was Sunday night. Can't remember. Anyways, but this is where we look at this game. The under is the side and the overwhelmingly correct side to be on. That's where I'm going to be at. It's one of my best bets, taking the Vegas and Dolphins game under 44. I do think this number drops a little bit. Right now we've seen movement from 46.5 down to 44. And I did see a funny metric. It's kind of a joke, but I know Tyreek Hill caught a touchdown last week, but not so much in the yardage side of things. Since his arrest, the game after his arrest, he had a huge game, almost 200 yards, touchdown, really popped off. And then since then, he's been kind of a dud. So for me, guys, it's something where it's a chain markets up. I do like the under, but it's something where I'm going to stay away from this game in the prop market, but I will take the under 44 in the spot. Okay, next game is Seattle and San Francisco. That starts off the 4 o'clock window. Okay, no play for me. This is something where San Francisco does overwhelmingly well against the Seahawks, but I just don't trust the San Francisco 49ers right now. A little bit vulnerable. Geno Smith, kind of that gunslinger. What we get in this game, the NFC West in this matchup. I do think that Seattle has taken a lot of money, and it's well-deserved. I think in a way it was too high of a number to start off. This is one where you look into the under as well, 47.5. That's kind of the side I would feature. But for me, guys, I do think this is a Purdy touchdown game. I think Purdy throws the ball with ease against the Seattle Seahawks. I think Purdy gets 2 touchdowns. That's a bet I like as well. But for me, I'm staying away from the side and the total. I just don't like it. It's kind of one of those games where you just want to just lay San Francisco in a teaser, get them in a money line, basically, but I'm not going to do it. That's kind of where I'm staying away from this game as well. Okay. Next game is Atlanta and the Broncos. Okay. This is one where it's going to be very interesting. Okay. I don't really have an opinion one way or another in this matchup. The Falcons have been one of the tougher teams to handicap, and now we get the Denver Broncos -2.5 at home. Bo Nix, rushing yards, that would be kind of the prop that I would lean into. Kyle Pitts has been doing extremely well. Bijan Robinson, you could look at him anytime touchdown scorer, but the Denver Broncos defensively have been kind of stout. I do think we get a lot of points, so potentially we're seeing that with the betting splits here, as 70% of the handle is on the over. So for me, guys, it's a weird game where you got to wonder, Denver -2.5, is that the correct side? Denver on the money line, that would be kind of where I would lean. I'm not in love with this, but that is just a strict lean. And if I was going to bet the game, like I said, guys, Kyle Pitts receiving yards, I do like Bijan Robinson to find the end zone, and also Bo Nix with rushing of the football. Okay. And then next, one of the probably 2 or 3 games that I have highlighted as the best games of the day. This is probably going to be one of the games with the biggest handle in this 4 o'clock window. 4:25 kickoff between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. Now, in this spot, you get the Chiefs here, 2-point underdogs, and I just really can't, quite frankly, not take the Chiefs in this game. I'm going to pay for some juice and get Kansas City +3. That way we have a potential for a push. Buffalo has been, by the numbers, one of my favorite teams in the NFL. Now they're at home hosting the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to be taking the Chiefs here +3, -124. Also, they're going to be involved with a teaser leg where I'm going to tease them up to 8.5. And I will tell you guys what's going on within that. The Chiefs have been a very good team to the under as well. But in this game, the sharper side is Buffalo. but I do like the Chiefs here +3. If I lose the bet, I lose the bet, but anytime I get the Chiefs with points, I jump on it. So give me Kansas City +3 against the Bills, and we will have them in a teaser leg as well that I'm going to talk about right here in this next game. Okay, and that next game is the Sunday night game, which I am going to have a separate video for that as we dive into the props and the betting market for Sunday night football. But the Bengals and Chargers, just briefly, Cincinnati's getting 1 on the road, total set at 48.5. The Chargers are the sharper side. However, I am going to pair the Kansas City Chiefs with the Cincinnati Bengals. Jamar Chase has been absolutely fantastic in recent weeks. Really explosive, really getting that connection with Joe Burrow solidified. And I will take the Chiefs up to 8.5 and the Bengals up to 7.5 as my 2-leg teaser for this Sunday slate of NFL action. Okay, so that'll about wrap it up. One bet that I did skip over that I did not talk about. This is going to be in the prop market where we do look back into Detroit. Khalif Raymond. Okay, I'm going to pull this up on your screen. Khalif Raymond, we are going to take the over in his reception yards. It's set at 8.5. I think that we do get it done here. We do get a potential for a blowout, maybe a little bit more run for, not the 1 and 2 receivers. So Khalif Raymond could find his way making 1 or 2 grabs. This is kind of where I'm at. He had 73, 39, 14, and 12, and 9 against Seattle. So dating back to pretty much, 7 of his last 10 games, 6 of his last 9 of this season for the 2024 campaign, he has cashed this. So 6 of 9 going over 8.5 receiving yards. I will be taking Khalif Raymond in this Lions Jacksonville game, going over his receiving total. Okay, and that'll about wrap it up. That is kind of my best bets. I will put a recap here where we'll show you guys kind of what's going on. If you guys haven't done so, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe down below. Join us over on Discord. Make sure you follow me on X. Appreciate you guys watching this entire video. Good luck with your picks, and these are my best bets. And we will see you guys all a little bit later on for the Sunday Night Football breakdown, as well as tomorrow we will have the Monday Night Football video up a little later on this Sunday afternoon. Okay, appreciate it. Good luck. We'll see you all in the next video. Cheers.